Hi, friends. It's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm excited to be hopping along with some of my crafty friends featuring some new products that were just recently released from Spellbinders. I have a couple of the Copperplate press plates. They are the Hello and Thinking of You Everyday Sentiments, and I thought I would use them with the Spring Magnolias that was released in collaboration with Simon Hurley. I hadn't used them yet, so I thought I would put them all together on some cards. I'm going to start with grabbing my porcelain BetterPress A2 cotton card panels, and I have all my BetterPress inks. I'm going to go with Garnet, which is from the Jet Set mini ink set, and Leaf, which is from the Flower Garden mini ink set. And I thought I would use them with the flowers as well as with my sentiments. So I'm going to do Hello in the pink and Thinking of You in the green. So I'll go ahead and get my BetterPress system out. As you can see, it's well loved. I don't have any issues with ink getting everywhere, so it is a little messy looking. And I'm going to do Thinking of You in the vertical. So I'll go ahead and get that plate as centered as best as I can onto my magnet system. And then I'm using my mint tape to attach my cotton card panel to the cover plate. I'm making sure that I don't have tape too far into my paper because the sentiment is very much in the middle, but I have had issues where I accidentally put tape to hold my paper in place where it will run and be impressed by the press plate and it won't get on my paper, obviously. So I've made it a habit to make sure that I have minimal tape on my cotton card panels. I'm running it through my Platinum 6. I have the black one in collaboration with scrapbook.com, and here you can see my Thinking of You, and I did it again with the Hello plate. Now my hello is centered like the actual sentiment, but the flourish makes it off-centered, which I thought would look really cute with flowers next to it, but I do struggle with the layout, so just keep that in mind if you are going to be decorating this, just that the sentiment looks a little off-centered because of the flourish of the H. I'm going to use mixed media cardstock, which is a little bit thinner for my spring magnolias, and I'm just doing the flowers. And the reason I'm using mixed media cardstock is because I'm going to use my distress watercolor pencils, and I just really like that kind of paper for watercoloring. And I'm going to use the Garnet and Leaf ink pads to try and do a two color on these plates. It doesn't end up like perfect, but I think it looks really cute. And then also when I do the watercoloring, you won't really be able to tell there were areas where the pink got onto the leaf or the green got onto the flowers, or maybe I didn't get ink completely on one of my flowers. You won't be able to tell later. I'm grabbing the coordinating dies from the Spring Magnolias press plate and die set, and I'm also going to use a nested A2 die to cut out my Hello and Thinking of You panels. Since I didn't get them like super straight, just cutting them down a bit with an A2 nested die will just help make them look a little straighter and centered on the panels. I use my magic mat, so sometimes I get a little bit of those paper wisps. I always think of them like my little hair wispies in the front that they sometimes get on my paper panels, so I just use my fingernail to try to get those off my cardstock. I have my flowers ready to watercolor, and I'm just going to show a little bit of watercoloring with my Distress watercolor pencils from Tim Holtz and Ranger. I'm going to use 3 different colors as well as my water brush pen to just quickly color in my leaves, the center of the flowers, and the petals of the flowers. But this is a YouTube hop, and I don't want to keep you here too long because I want you to go and see everyone else's beautiful creations using new products from, again, the core collection release for March from Spellbinders. You can find the playlist down below in my description box, but I'm just using just a little bit of watercolor to color in all of my flowers. I will end up doing another round of flowers as I'm working on my layouts for my cards. I realized that I needed a few more flowers, so I just did this again off camera because you don't need to see me run my BetterPress again. But I just wanted to show how I added color to my flowers just so you had an idea of what I did for my watercoloring. Once all of those are done, we'll get to adding our panels together. I decided that since I trimmed them down to be slightly smaller than A2, I wanted a chamomile yellow background. I thought it matched the yellow center of the flowers really well and just brought in another color into the cards. So I have an 8.5 by 11 that I'm just going to trim into quarters. So I have two A2 panels here for my Thinking of You and Hello panels. So I'm going to use my super sturdy Scotch tape runner here just to get some adhesive all on the back of each of my sentiment panels and get those centered onto the chamomile yellow cardstock. Then I'm going to work on kind of arranging my flowers, getting an idea of how I want everything to look. And this is when I realized I needed more flowers. So I went ahead and just did a few more flowers off camera. And I also die cut all of the flowers again with just some regular white cardstock. The mixed media paper is kind of thin, so I thought adding a layer of white cardstock behind all my flowers would just give it a little bit more stability and make it easier to attach all of these to my card base. I am going to use a 1mm foam squares from scrapbook.com to attach all of my flowers onto my card backgrounds today, but I wanted to make sure that my flowers were nice and sturdy, so adding them to the white cardstock just gives a little bit more stability. Here you can see I'm starting to add my foam to the backs of my flowers. So for the Thinking of You, I have this cluster of flowers that I'm adding to the bottom right, and then the two individual flowers on the top left. I like having that kind of diagonal look across the card. For my hello card, I have my cluster in the top right, and then I actually took the long cluster of magnolias and I trimmed off one of the small ones, and I'm just tucking it under this flower. And you can see that I'm adding the rest of that long magnolia cluster on the bottom left, and I'm using a white gel pen to cover where I cut the flowers. So that way it just looks like there's a white border like the rest of the images. And then adding those last two flowers as well. I really liked how it's turning out, but of course I need to add something shiny. So I'm going to grab a gloss Pops of Color from scrapbook.com, and this is the orange creamsicle color. I thought it matched the chamomile cardstock pretty well. It's a little bit orangier than the cardstock, but not much. And I just added 3 around each flower cluster, and I'm tapping the backside to dome out the pops of color. I like that they look more like enamel dots than little Hershey Kisses, so it just gives it a more round, smooth look. Here are close-ups of my Thinking of You and Hello card panels. Of course, I forgot to glue them to card bases before I put on my pops of color, so I will do that when they dry. But thanks so much for watching and hopping along with us today. Like I said, you can find the playlist for everyone hopping down below in my description box. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!